Good evening and welcome along to more Dundee United action from this live stream FM21 series. It's part 6 and we will start today with a big cup quarter final before the festive league fixtures, before what I presume, unless they've thrown it away, is the mid-season break. They normally have one in Scotland. I'm guessing it's been departed with this year because of the obviously late start to the season, or the slightly unique season. But we've got Aberdeen first today, and that's going to be our biggest game. We're flying in the league, we're doing quite well, and I'm hoping we'll be able to get a bit more going. So if you are looking forward to this one and you are new along, please do put a thumbs up on the video. If you're a regular, come and get involved in the chat, just as L Gaming has. Good evening, welcome along, thank you for popping in. I know I've got to compete with an early Premier League and EFL fixture this evening, which doesn't help. But we'll get through it. And of course, most of the fixtures will be a bit later in the evening. And I'm sure you're looking forward to that. My choice of viewing this evening is Notts County v Stockport. That's going to be an interesting one for me to watch. Right at the suspected top of the National League, we should say. So hopefully there's a few of you looking forward to that one, rather than just the big action at the top. How long are we live for? Basically, as long as it takes us to get through the 5 games. So we've got Aberdeen. It shouldn't take too long, really, because the 4 other games are really close together. We've got, look, they're every 3 or 4 days over winter. So we're going up to Celtic there on the 30th. So I'd imagine it'll probably be about an hour and a quarter based on previous ones. We're playing against an Aberdeen side today who have got a few players missing. They've brought Josh Windass up and he's out injured, as are a few others. They are starting to climb the table and they're now 7th, but they're 21 points behind us. But cup football's different. You never know what will happen. We're remarkably still just 2 points off Celtic and 4 off Rangers. We are the definite best of the rest as it stands. But with 4th place Motherwell to come, with Kilmarnock to come in a tough game, as well as Hibs away, that could change before the end of the night. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Great to see so many of you involved already. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't yet. Carl QPR Stoke, welcome along. I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know the score updates. Craig Savage is back. Thank you for popping in. Joe, hello, what great time. I was just catching up with the Director of Football series. I'm going to try not to spoil it just yet. I'm not going to get involved, but it is a massive episode today. Because it has been a game changer, the head coach in this one. Thank you for all of your comments as well. Craig, you were needed in the Discord this morning. There was a large debate about the Arsenal management situation. And L Gaming, I think, needed your side because you and him are very similar in your arguments. Gary, without spoiling anything in the what coaching badge do you have in the head coach? I believe, don't hold me to this without looking, it's a National A licence that I have. Leon, hello, welcome along. You messaged me on yesterday, didn't you? Yeah, thank you for popping in and having a look at it. Glad to join along on the live stream. Thank you for coming in, do appreciate it. A few of you waiting this evening already. Probably not the biggest set of fixtures we'll have, but probably an important one. If we can get to a League Cup semi-final after our little reprieve in the last episode as a lucky loser of sorts, that would be great. And then the winter schedule's going to determine whether it's us or Motherwell for 3rd, basically. On the subject of Motherwell, I will do one quick plug. Over on the podcast channel, we've just released my interview with Mark O'Brien, who formerly played for Derby, Motherwell, Luton, Newport, retired in the summer due to a heart issue or a recurrence of it. But a fantastic bloke, a fantastic player. Frustrating time for him at Luton, but a good player nonetheless. Speaking of Arsenal, another poor performance. Players are a letdown. Correct, the players are a letdown. It's the ill discipline from some of the seasoned pros. And if I was Arteta, I'd get frustrated now and put some more of the youngsters in. But let's get to Aberdeen v Dundee United. It's a cup quarter final. Rangers have got Hamilton. Hibs have already beaten Motherwell. And Celtic have got the easy draw against Ayr. So they should be winning that comfortably. Let's get the opposition instructions on. So they're recommending some changes. Let's go and have a look at them. So I think this is the lineup we had at the weekend, if I remember rightly. No, I've already adjusted it. Because against Rangers, Houghton didn't start. So this is what I'm going for. I'm guessing I've changed it already. And I'm already questioning my decisions, which isn't great. Matty Pearson almost back after injury. We'll get him back involved in the squad at the weekend. Glenn Ray on the bench today, as is Matt O'Reilly, as is Josh Clark. And the starting 11 is Siegrist, Mitchell and Smith the fullbacks with Reynolds and Mengi centre half. I still don't think we can offer to extend these loans. Still saying too soon. Even the McNulty one, I think. And that's the one, given this season's form, I'm most worried about. So we can extend it now. But it's saying that they want to give him a chance in the first team. So it doesn't look like we're keeping him, which gives us a problem for next year. Not that he's been in great form the last 5 games. Bolton and Sporrell on the wings, Houghton and Fuchs in the middle, and Shankland and McNulty up top. So into the first game, let me catch up with the chat and see how we get on in the Cup quarter-final. Thank you for everyone coming in and getting involved as well. I do appreciate it. Craig, they have no plan B. At this stage, no, but it takes a while to perfect plan A first, doesn't it? You're watching Wrexham tonight, so won't be watching the other game. Who have Wrexham got? Let me have a look at the whole National League fixture list, actually. You know we're all non-league fans here. Wrexham Weymouth. Oh, that game was supposed to be on TV originally as well, wasn't it? I wonder why they're not showing both of them. I'm just trying to catch up with the others there. Torquay, Dagenham. That's it. Oh, Solihull, Halifax as well. I just saw that Tim Flowers went to Barnet yesterday as well, didn't he? Announced him at 10 o'clock at night, which is a bit bizarre. I was getting slated for stating my side of the argument. I might not have been right after learning all the facts, but still. Craig, L Gaming was in the Arteta out camp, and I think many others were against it. Craig, yeah. Pearson and Ray. We've gone on a... Luton offers us 4 players. George Moncur was on the transfer list as well. But his natural fitness made him not the natural solution. And O'Reilly was a free and Houghton was cheaper. And the other one was James Shea, but we've already got a very good keeper. And we only had 150 grand spent, so we had to be careful. But let's get into the first half. We know on paper Aberdeen have got a great side. But it's still an opportunity. We'd love to get through to the semis and try and push for a cup. As it's McGeough with the ball into the box. Siegrist claims it well. It's a solid start at the back again. That's it. Mainly it's the players, not just the manager. Yeah. Who got injured, Carl, for Stoke? Is it a big injury or one you can deal with? That's the big question. It looks like Aberdeen have started the better here. Their second chance in 2 minutes to come forward. Kennedy has skinned the fullback, skinned the centre half, and thankfully put his shot well wide, but not a promising start. Aberdeen have come back into form recently. They started horrendously, and they have worked their way slowly up the table. Maybe not enough to get in the top 6 though, as McNulty's got in. There goes the goal drought. Shankland puts McNulty in. It's a brilliant finish, and it's back to the poacher being the assist maker again. Mark McNulty back amongst the goals. And after 2 poor minutes, we score in the third. We will not complain. As Siegrist goes long downfield to Sporrell, to Houghton. It's not been a bad start at all, actually. Lovely football. Thank you to everyone coming in. I can see you just starting to creep in your numbers now. I'm for getting involved in the chat. Oh, Nick Powell, he's starting to become injury prone, isn't he? It is a bit of a worry. Keep Arteta in, it's funny to watch. I think it'll do well there. He's got to be given time. That's the problem, El Gaming, is everyone wants to be right now, you see. That's you, both sides of the party, that is. I guess I'm very different to most football fans, is I'm one that's, I don't get too wound up about things. I'm a football fan before I am my own club or anyone else. And considering no one supports Arsenal, it is quite hilarious that led to the first debate, and as more on the streams. We've just had a penalty given against us for handball. Well, that came out of nowhere, didn't it? Here comes Cosgrove. He's taking it up against Siegrist. We need goalkeeping heroics. Oh, we've got them. What a save that is. Palms it to the side as well, which is the most important thing. And why Liam Smith cleared that for a corner, I'm not sure, because he could have cleared it downfield. Considine, the Scottish international, heads it wide. And we survive, even after the penalty. Fantastic start for us. Aberdeen have been dominant. I'm not going to read into the expected goals. I will drop to balance though, because we're struggling a little bit on that front. Johnny Hayes getting into the game. Marley Watkins getting into it. We just need to hold on at this point. Also, I haven't watched the head coach yet. Don't spoil it. QPR have started well, Craig. That's interesting after what we said, isn't it? It was my fault for sending a post saying welcome Arsenal Championship account. Absolutely. It's very premature for that. I've already seen 2 relatively big YouTubers today put out a video of what if Arsenal were in a championship. And, I mean, come on. It's very early. It's very early. And they're not even near the relegation zone points-wise. Let's calm down a little bit on that front. But, yeah. It's a poor start, and I'm sure they'll recover. And as I said earlier, I think they'll still be in and around the top 7. I think they'll still compete for a trophy, and they'll be all right. And long-term, they've got the right man at the club. They just need Pat Nevin as director of football, that's all. That's the big problem. as McGinn gets it on the right. Long downfield. We've been all right in this second half. We've not looked under any threat yet, as Houghton picks it up in the middle to Sporrell. And we don't concede many. And that could be famous last words, as Houghton picks it up to Fuchs. Switches left. That's poor. That's really poor. And this is where they get in behind. McCrory up to Cosgrove. A good target, man. Gives it away there, though. Shankland turns. Can he put McNulty in again? For a poacher, Shankland, has the best through ball I have ever seen. He's turning into a Harry Kane, just dropping deep and creating hundreds. And Mark McNulty scored a second. 64 on the clock. It's 2-0. Bolton is absolutely shattered. So let's get Josh Clark on. We'll make the other subs in a minute. But what a game this has been to start on. You are right. Cold Tuesday night in Stoke again. I don't think Arteta will get sacked. But yes, they do need Pat, definitely. You need to get Ryan Shotton. Don't spoil the head coach if you can avoid it. It has gone absolutely nuts today. So thank you for everyone that's watched it already. I think it's averaging over 100 an hour, which 20 episodes into a series is pretty remarkable. But thank you for everyone for your support with it. It's gone absolutely mad this year. Even since the last stream on Sunday, we've gone from just over 1,800 to almost 1,900. We're into the last 20 of the chase now. So, I mean, I'm running out of superlatives. But thank you for all watching. Thank you for all continuing to watch. And I hope you continue to enjoy it, of course. So we're going to make a third sub. I'm going to bring on Luke Garber on the left. Just because he's more... I guess it's basically two auxiliary fullbacks on the wing, isn't it? That's the plan. We'll do our usual sub of Fuchs, who's tired now. He's going to be replaced by Glenn Ray. And I think that's our 3 substitution blocks. So we won't be able to make another one after that. But I don't think we need to. As the ball over finds McNulty. We definitely don't now. The hat-trick's in. And now actually we might see if we can make 2 subs. So Fuchs replaced by Ray. And then we'll bring on Robson at left back as well. Just give Mitchell a little rest. A very good player at left back. But Mark McNulty's back. Oh, it was disallowed. Oh, am I going to regret the left back change now? That's the big question. Wrexham almost beat Stoke a few years ago again in a friendly. Well, when we were growing up, they were in the same league for a little while in League One. Craig, best Premier League player this season so far? Good question. I'm trying to think. I've probably not watched as much Premier League as I would normally. I've watched a lot more of the lower leagues and Northern Irish football. Just trying to think of my standouts, not the obvious ones. I mean, before he got injured, I would have said Ross Barkley. It was an inspired signing for a couple of weeks there. He looked to threaten every game. I'm trying to think nearer the top. You have to say Son probably, don't you? He would be my standout one. Just thinking off the top of my head. Yeah, a few others have said it. So even looking now, it looks like most of us are in agreement with that one. Balloon time, that isn't the spoiler, is it? No spoilers, but, you know, the balloon contention. For anyone who doesn't know, get on Discord and you'll see what we mean about the balloon. So Craig said Son. L Gaming maybe Son. Another injury for Liverpool, yeah. Henderson and Fabinho at the back second half. They still came back and got a point though. Might prove to be a good one come the end. Stoke are definitely losing tonight, getting battered by the hoops. They haven't won in 5, I don't think, QPR. I'm sure we all predicted a Stoke win, if I remember right. Jota, his form's more been in Europe and the Cups though, rather than just the Premier League. Leon said Son as well. Yeah, I think Son's probably the one. Thank you for everyone popping in as well. I know it'll be a little quieter tonight. We won't pick up as many new ones with all the early football on. But hopefully we can have a bit of a fun chat with all the regulars. And as you can see, we've already reached a cup semi-final. It's not a bad start to the evening. Now let's get through the other games. I can't remember. The first one is Hibs away and then Kilmarnock at home. So they're the 2 we've probably got to win. Oh, I didn't realise Barry Robson's caretaker. Oh, so McInnes has gone. Where's he gone to? Derek McInnes, did he just get sacked? I suppose he did. They started poorly. But after the amount he did for the club, you would have thought he'd been given a bit longer. But no, sacked very early. We'll go and praise Mark McNulty, the man who, at the moment, we're not going to be able to extend the loan of. We'll get through the press conference. Who do we want in the next round? No comment. I'm not getting dragged into that one. They're trying to catch me out with an interview there. But let's get ahead to Hibs away. We probably didn't deserve to win that. And we've now got the draw for the semis. I guess if we can avoid Celtic, and Hamilton or Hibs can shock them, we might have a chance. You see what Mourinho said about Liverpool's injuries? It was so funny. Oh, I haven't yet. I'll have to look it up afterwards. He is right to an extent, though, anyone. The one I feel most sorry for is Roy Hodgson. I mean, he's been playing midfielders and youth players in defence for the last year and a half. Still finishing mid-table in the Premier League, looking solid. He never complains about injuries. Never. And he's worked wonders there. So it is frustrating when a squad of that calibre then complain about it. I forgot because I needed to beat you one more time to get knighted on the Discord. Oh yeah, the championship predictions. So the one for Saturday's predictions will be out on Thursday on the podcast. So you'll have to go and get involved in that one. You've got to beat me twice, and you've got to beat all of us as well. So you've got to beat Craig once too. Got Spurs next week in the EFL Cup. So you have. I think Mourinho, we know him. He'll be going all out to win that. He'll be going right up there to win it. Craig said Firmino, Salah and Mane are fit. Why are they complaining? It's a fair point. I'm just about their injuries, saying every club has them, and with the players they have available, it shouldn't be a big deal. Yeah, no, he's right. I completely agree. Of course it's fixture congestion, and there's going to be problems with isolations and that this year, which we wouldn't normally have, but hopefully that's coming towards an end. I'm presuming the Premier League, once the wide-scale one's available, will go for the vaccinations to get things sorted. Craig, yes, it's very easy to beat Charlie. That's a bit harsh on Charlie. He's had some very good weeks, to be fair. And he's got as many perfect scores as me, I think. So it's just consistency for poor Charlie. Let's have a look at this. We'd like to get Hamilton, really. But the chances of that are slim. It's 1 in 4, isn't it? Hibs are out first. We wouldn't mind that. Celtic are rare. So, I mean, away's not great. I presume it's played at home ground still. Surely the semi-final of the League Cup's not at Hampden. Semi-finals, where are they played? I presume just at the home ground then. There's nothing else talking about it. So as it stands, we play Hamilton for a place in a cup final, which we didn't expect. And the big question across the road is, can Hibs shock Celtic? And if they can, potentially a winnable final in silverware. This is turning potentially into some first season here. It could be an absolute cracker. So let's get through the press conference for Hibs. We want to beat them today, and then they want to go on a great run. And hopefully a good one against Celtic as well. I just wonder if that game's in the way, is it? Oh no, it's next month. So in the next live stream, we'll have the Cup semi-final. It'll be those 5 games actually. Aberdeen down to St Mirren. And then I'll play a few off camera just so we can get through the season. I will have to start doing that as we move along. But in the early days, I wanted to show you as much of the building the tactic as possible. Leon, I beat Charlie and Load FM, just haven't beat UL Gaming. So you'll get Craig eventually. He has the odd very bad week. Do you think Sheffield United will turn it around, Leon? Looks a hard ask. I worry about the goals, because Brewster was supposed to be the answer. Doesn't look like scoring. At the other end, Henderson for Ramsdale. Ramsdale's a decent young keeper, but for me, he's a big downgrade. They've got injuries at centre-half. Obviously, O'Connell's been a big miss. It really is a worry. I would be quite concerned if I were them. Elgame, I'm about to have a Welsh cake. I'll do a review for you. Oh, I haven't had a good Welsh cake since last summer when we went to Cardiff away. As you know, I got the M&S ones when we went to the MK game, but they're not the same. And I've just lost my monetisation there without even thinking about it. So there you go. But I'm hoping we'll be able to go to a Welsh away game next year. Because I still need to tick Swansea off the 92. Still need to tick Newport off. So hopefully we'll get a few more. Hopes they're a good club. Yeah, I'd like Sheffield United to stay up. But equally, I haven't done Bramall Lane. It could be a great away trip for Luton next year. So selfishly, it would be nice if they were in the Championship. But I'd prefer them to stay up. They only have 1 point if I'm correct. I think you are correct, yeah. Because they lost at the weekend again. I'm a Doncaster fan, but what Wilder has done with them is nothing short of amazing. You're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. Again, Doncaster's another one I haven't ticked off, which is annoying because it's one of the train stops on my travel to Leeds every single time. Prior to the pandemic, of course, but haven't yet been able to do it. So hopefully Doncaster will be one. I mean, I missed the one away game we had with Luton. I think it was on if it was a midweek, if I remember rightly, or after a midweek that we'd gone to away. And I haven't been able to do it since. So Matty Pearson's back on the bench. Houghton's tired or a bit lacking in sharpness and motivation. So we'll get O'Reilly in. We'll get Clark back in at right back, I think. Or do we leave Smith there? We'll leave Smith there. Luke Bolton's wanted by Bristol Rovers. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. And we'll bring Callum Butcher back into the squad as well. Still in the first season, so unlike the head coach and unlike the head coach in Scottish football, unlike Bangor City, we've got 5 subs here. So let's go and get into it. Mark McNulty, if you can keep the goal glut going, I would be a very happy man. But it's Hibs v Dundee United, and we need to nick another win, hopefully. Hendo's much better. Yeah, he's a fantastic keeper, Dean Henderson. I don't believe Ramsdale to be a Premier League keeper, in truth. I wasn't convinced by him at Bournemouth last year, but he's young and English, and that often leads to the money being spent. You can't do you can do your predictions after the after the stream. You can do your predictions, but you'll only have 11 games. So if you beat us, then you probably deserve it. Although we've looked like we're all going to lose the points on the QPR match. I'll happily swap Sheffield United for Arsenal league positions wise. I'm not getting involved in that conversation again. You've got to know when to stop. So some good players in this Hibs side actually. Lewis Stevenson, Scott Allen, Joe Newell, Christian Doidge up front. Always seems to score goals against me in FM Doidge. They've brought Carl McGuinness in as well. So let's get them to pick up where they left off. Shankland's happy. Hibs are dropped to 11th. And hopefully another good league performance. Tom's in. More Arsenal chat today, I see. I've tried to calm them down, Tom, but they really don't like Arsenal. I've tried my best. Craig, love Doncaster's old grounds. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to only see the new one. Sorry for that if you lost your monetisation. I'm not the one who said the... you're not the one who said the supermarket name. That was me. Yeah, Welsh cakes. Absolutely lovely. Bellevue was amazing. One of the best pitches in England, but had to move with the times. Who do you support? Craig's United and Luton, because we're all from Luton. So there's normally a quite bias towards Luton on the podcast. He can't predict them to lose most of the time. I think the only one he did was the weekend, and then it came back to bite him because we battered Preston, one of the best away teams in the world. I've got a feeling this chat could descend into chaos with Craig and Tom both being here. Wrexham beat Arsenal in the FA Cup. I mean, we're going back a few decades now. I mean, Luton beat Arsenal in the League Cup final, but that was the 80s. And the Wrexham one was not long away from that. Oh, championship. They're not going to be a championship club. I know everyone's getting excited about it, but I can assure you it won't happen. Arsenal will be in the top 7. You can mark my words, as we've gone behind again. This happened in the last league game as well, in the last stream. I know that was Celtic, but there's some concern in the performances. We haven't really dominated matches all season. But this time, we're not dominating chances. We're not creating much. So we'll see out this highlight, and then we might drop to balanced. But I do worry that there could be a big fall away. I've seen it in on and off camera saves this year. When you get in a bad run, it's so hard to get out of. The morale seems to be so strong this year. And Boyle's picked it up on the right. And Hibs are looking pretty dominant here. Here's McGinn. Over the top. Oh, that's poor. That is really poor. I'm not sure what he was going for then. Siegrist has got it. We just got to hope we nick one on the counter. Shankland's got on the end of a goal kick, but we're giving away possession too easy. It's not a good performance at all, really. Over the left-hand side to McNulty. Flicks on for Mitchell. Chance to cross. There's 3 in there. Sporrell in. Oh, it's poor. Oh, we got a penalty. What on earth was that for? Porteous adjudged to be too forceful. I mean, we'll take it, but there is no way that was a penalty. And Lawrence Shankland can put us level, despite a pretty poor first-half performance. Up he steps. Oh, it's straight at the keeper. It's such a poor and tame penalty, he's held it. That's embarrassing. Motherwell are winning at Rangers. It's getting a bit tense up there now. Oh, that's put a bit of a pain in the backside. Rangers have come back now. That's a good thing. But how on earth have we hit a penalty that badly? Shankland's furious. Absolutely right. So I'm going to point the finger, get them to give the fans what they're expecting, and everyone's demotivated. Not quite right, is it? Thank you for everyone popping in as well. Thank you for the extra thumbs up. Please chuck one on it if you haven't yet. Let's have a look. Leon, I'm sick of going Kenilworth Road. We can't play there. The only away day I've ever left early was the time we played there and you beat us 4-0. Was that the season before last? Because the game I remember when we won League One was Matty Blair in the pre-match press conference for you guys said that you were the best team in the Championship despite being 8th, and that if you were at your best, no one could beat you, even Luton, who were flying at the top. And then you were 3 or 4 down within half an hour. Oh, we've got another penalty. Do I let him take it again? No. McNulty's taking it. And then, yeah, his face when they went 3 or 4 down was quite the picture. But he did the team talk for Luton. I really think you could have got a result that day. We were starting to look nervy. It didn't change the taker. Shankland still took it. But this time he scored. So hopefully that arrests that problem. And we've addressed the concern with confidence. 20 minutes to go. We'll pause that to have a look at subs. Let me just catch up with the chat very quickly. Great away day, great club. Just the football seems to ruin it. I hope you're not one of those fans from every single team that films the entrance to the away end. Because there's too many of them about. Oh, we were brilliant that day. Yeah, what do you think of Darren Moore? It's a good question. I've always rated him. What was the score? Dundee versus Rangers at the weekend. Dundee United lost 2-1 to Rangers at the weekend. Time before that, Sheehan got stretchered off. We went 1-0 up and I thought our luck was in, but we ended up getting beaten comfortably. Leon, yeah, that was the game. Oh yeah, Loire scored. And he can't finish. I mean, he's a brilliant player, but he can't finish. And he scored a goal and then did his traditional backflip, didn't he? That was the third. That was the picture, wasn't it? Because Kazenga was doing the backflip and Matty Blair was behind him, hands on his knees, pondering what he'd said in the press conference the day before. You've brought it all back to me there. What a wonderful day that was. Not for you, unfortunately. But yeah, for us it was lovely. And we've held our own in the Championship, to be fair. But I would like you to come up so we can go and watch a Luton Doncaster game at the stadium. But if we have to go for a different one, then so be it. The good thing with the Championship games moving for TV all the time is you can do a double header in midweek and that. But we'll get the 92 back on the boards, hopefully once the away fans are back in. I'm due to be vaccinated at the weekend for the first of the 2 jabs, so hopefully in 4 weeks I'll be able to go again. But there's not really any plan on what's going to happen with that afterwards. So we've got a lot of tired players today. It's just the backlog of games and me trying to keep the same team. So I'm going to replace the whole midfield 4. And I'm also going to replace... Do I dare take McNulty off? I don't think I can. Mengi's shattered at the back, but he's by far our best defender. So do you know what? I'm going to bring Pearson on. Is this the right game for it? Oh, I don't know. No, I'm going to save the last one. We'll give it 5 more. And then we'll make the last sub if we need to. I like Darren Moore. Plays possession football. Comes across really nice. And it shows, yeah, you're a bit soft sometimes. I remember when he started at West Brom, he was brilliant, wasn't he? I am going to bring Pearson on for Mengi now because he's running on empty. But I always think I'd rather be a side that plays entertaining football than one that goes up playing 1-0 football. I mean, at Luton, we've been very lucky to have a mix of the both. Under John Still, under Nathan Jones, and under Mick Harford in between. But a 1-1 draw at Hibs, not a bad result for us. Keeps us ticking over, keeps the unbeaten run going. Loire. Yes, Loire is the man behind the song now. Stop talking about Blair, most blatant offside goal at Wembley. Sad news for Dan. For the first time ever, there's no supporters club in Brazil for one of our interviews. Well, I suppose it's the first time it's a Welsh team rather than an English team, isn't it? But no Newport Brazilian fan club for the Mark O'Brien interview. That's disappointing. That really is. But a really lovely bloke. He absolutely was. Mark O'Brien was a proper gent. Carl, if you don't turn up for the stream after the vaccine, we'll know you're not to take it. To be fair, it might be instead of Sunday stream based on timings, because obviously it's a very narrow window, so I might be forced to cancel at short notice for Sunday. But if there is a 95% chance I can work around it, and I will. So, yeah. But there's no worry with safety, honestly. Unless you've got an EpiPen or whatever. It's just, you know, they make a new flu jab every year and no one says anything about that. So there's no need to be alarmed, I can assure you. Let's move ahead before we get involved in any more political discussions. And I don't want to talk about work outside of work, so this is my day off. I personally think Darren Moore is a top-class Premier League coach rather than an EFL manager. That's a very good way of putting it, actually. But he's new to the role, so still learning, deserves time. Yeah, I mean, he basically got thrown into it because of the West Brom situation, didn't he? But he sort of suits me as the same sort as his former assistant in Graham Jones at West Brom. is he came to us and he wasn't a manager. He just wasn't. He didn't fit it. He didn't have the man management skills. He didn't come across as a nice bloke, to be honest, but I put Darren Moore in the same mould, which is an unbelievable coach and not a very good manager. But I think he's a good enough bloke that he gets the most out of people still. Carl, it'll be me and Charlie doing this, and Charlie a granddad. Maybe one day my Wrexham account will get an interview. I'm sure it will. Once, as I said to you before, there's no point trying to rush things at the minute when there's not fans in. The same for us with like the interviews and that. We were doing loads during lockdown, but now as the football season back, we're just doing them as and when people approach us, really. We've been suggested to go for Jack Byrne, who looks a good player. I'm going to keep an eye on him. But nothing doing yet. And Kilmarnock at home next is one of those must-win ones. But yeah, as football comes back and fans in the stadiums and you've got live action, that's when those sort of things start to grow. The same for us if we can bring matchday vlogs back on the podcast. You know, our biggest ever video is a matchday vlog from an FA Cup tie. Our biggest ever championship one is from a Luton Nottingham Forest game. If it's okay, then we know it's safe. It absolutely is, honestly. There's no need to be alarmed about it. It's just that all the political stuff's been cut out the middle, so it's actually got done quickly rather than people fighting about, is it going to cost too much if it's for the third world countries? Is it going to be this and that? So no need to be alarmed. Craig, speaking of the live stream, what's the plan for the network? Well, we've been hotly debating what championship clubs we're going to be, because quite a few YouTubers have started as Wrexham and one as Stockport, which has frustrated me. Our backup option's been taken because someone's gone and done Hemel Hempstead. So it looks like we're going to go for a championship network career. Now, I'd rather do sides expected to finish in the bottom half of the table. I can't remember what we were talking about yesterday. Was it between QPR, Bristol City and Reading? I think those were the three clubs left. I think both of us were happy to be Bristol City. You were happy to be QPR and I was happy to be Reading. So likely in the next live stream we'll do a vote on that. And then we'll start recording just after the Christmas period. So L Gaming, yeah, basically, it won't be Wrexham Stockport as of that. So there's two that have started already, and one of the bigger YouTubers, I won't go into details, has hinted that they are likely doing a Wrexham save once the January patch is out. And as our series won't be finished until just before then, if not at all, it won't work because I'll get dwarfed by it. So let's have a look. It's going to be... Let me have a look. I'll tell you who's Wrexham on FM21. So there is one called Bandit, and that's getting 1,000 views for the first episode. So I have to give him that. He's got a fairly big series, and it's going to make it harder to compete. And now, since the Reynolds takeover, I'll show you how many there's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 7 different YouTube series just for Wrexham in the last 2 weeks that have started. It's really a bit of a pain, unfortunately. But once one of the bigger ones starts, I'll be in trouble then. Leon, he had a better win percentage at West Brom than Frank Lampard at Derby, but Derby went to Chelsea and he came to Doncaster. I stand by that, and we said it at the time. The Darren Moore sacking from West Brom was bizarre. I know they got Bilic in the summer after and went up, but I think they would have gone up that year with him. Is Almunia a baller? Manuel Almunia is absolutely fine in my book. Reading looks a great save for their prospects. Yeah, I mean, the same applies to all three of those clubs. QPR and Reading have good young sides, but need a bit of building. And Bristol City have got a cracking experienced 11, but not much depth. So they've got the likes of Chris Martin and Naki Wells up front. Chris Martin's a Luton legend. So Craig, I guess I'm probably leaning towards Reading. It's whether you're leaning towards QPR or Bristol City. And then if it's QPR, we can do Battle of the Hoops, can't we? There were 2 last time I checked. That's the thing. There's so many people jumping on the Wrexham bandwagon just because of the takeover. And the takeover's not even in game yet. So I'm not quite sure why it's going so quick. But there we go. Right, we've got a deal to sign someone. Now, those of you who followed the Beta live stream series with Wigan will remember this name. Michael Duffy. Now, he's a natural left and right winger. He's very good. He wants a higher wage, but I'm trying to build a squad. And the reason I'm looking at him is because don't forget Garbett goes back in 2 weeks to his senior club. Luke Bolton, it looks like, will move on after this loan. Garbutt's earning not far off the same wage anyway. McMullen's on the transfer list. He's not great. I think I have to do it. Chalmers could potentially be loaned out if need be. He's getting injuries, which is frustrating me. So I think Duffy's going to come in, you know. It gives us another new signing. 3.5-star ability. And he's natural on both sides, which really does make a difference. A good player for Scottish Premier League sides and good squad depth. And if he was playing for Dundalk, hopefully he's got some European football under his belt, which might help us next year as well. QPR it is. There you go. Battle of the Hoops will be our network career. We're not going to make the mistake we made last year. I mean, it was lockdown, so it was slightly easier, even though myself and Craig's work were unaffected. But obviously we couldn't do any of the social stuff then. So we're going to record the whole series before we put it out. So it might be a few months yet, but there will be another series of the same ilk this year. Gary, your advantage over some of the bigger YouTubers is your obvious love for football and knowledge of the actual players. I do appreciate the kind words. I hope that is my advantage, to be honest. I've always said it. I'm not the storyteller that some of the bigger ones are. You know, and like anyone else, I like some of the bigger ones and there's some that I don't really watch or think their content's great. But that's the same for all of us. But, you know, there's a couple of the bigger ones without big football knowledge that I'm massive fans of. However, my advantage, as you say, is Luton have played in every league between the National League and the Championship in the last 5 years. On the podcast, we love the Northern Irish League, which helps us out there. Until it was taken off BT this year, I used to watch a lot of the Scottish games. Still watch the Scottish Championship on BBC Scotland. Still watch some of the Northern Irish games there as well. And that is my advantage. I like that. We go and watch it. When we used to have a spare weekend before the pandemic, we'd go and watch Hemel or Hitchin or whoever's local if Luton weren't at home or we couldn't go. And that's just a love of football. Unfortunately, on the flip side of that, the YouTube algorithm doesn't do much for that. If a bigger YouTuber's gone for it, then that's it. It'll be gone. So I tried to pick clubs when we're doing those sorts of mini saves that haven't been used. But obviously in things like the head coach and that, I go with the flow and trust that hopefully enough of the regular fan base will enjoy it. But I have to be realistic with that sort of thing. I haven't enjoyed any of those Wrexham saves. I watched the guy you were on about. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but it's there and it's picking up quite big views. So it would be a difficult one for us to get ahead on. Because when I start a new series later on in a year, even the first episode will only get about probably 1,000 or 800 to 1,000 at this stage. Which isn't going to overtake his one because he started it early. So, unfortunately, I have to bear that in mind. But QPR and Reading, it looks like. I mean, we plan that, and then let's say one of the big ones in their journeyman could end up at QPR or Reading, and that's it. But that's how we work. Don't lose on penalties. It was my curse of FM20, wasn't it? Everything was a penalty shootout, but hopefully not this year. Let's just try and get ahead to this third game and get into it, and then we will crack back on with the comments. Because this is the must-win of the three, really. Motherwell, we just want to avoid defeat, and Celtic, the less we lose by the better away. So Matty Pearson's fit. I don't want to bring him into the starting lineup yet. Smith's played well the last two, so I'm going to leave him in the lineup. What's the other change they said? Duffy for Sporrell. Not yet. But Duffy will go on the bench in place of, I think, Logan Chalmers, the youngster. That's going to be my squad for today. The same first 11 again. They're staying unbeaten. They're doing well. And we'll keep faith in them. The number 11 shirt to Michael Duffy. And into face Kilmarnock at home. A must-win game, really. L Gaming, the only other YouTubers who I watch are Work the Space and Lelujo. So Lelujo's the main one I watch. He was the first one I watched on YouTube. And I've seen you obviously in a few of the episodes in the comments or the chat for the live ones. And I quite like Golden FM and Second Yellow Card. But Lelujo's my favourite of the others. But I appreciate you saying that I'm the favourite of the three. It does mean a lot, particularly with people of that calibre. But that's what I mean. Lelujo doesn't have that big football knowledge, but he's a good storyteller, which makes his series engaging. And that's completely understandable. It's a different audience. Druid, welcome along. Is YouTube your full-time job? Unfortunately not. I earn very little from it. So I only got to add monetization this time last year. And until this month, when the new game came out, I'd never earned more than 20 quid a month from it. And this month, for the first time, it went a bit bigger. But even then, it's a day's wages, essentially. So my full-time job and my day job is in the NHS. So I manage a GP surgery. We lead 1-0 early on, and I've done my old classic of missing the goal again. So can I just go back and watch Lauren Shankland's goal quickly? As I've said before, I would love it long term to be part of my job. Oh, good header, Shankland. Mitchell's cross as well, overlapping from fullback. I'd love it to be part of my job. I'd always like to do a little bit of my other work to keep my hand in still. It's a rewarding job. But I would love this to be part of it. But a long way to go yet. And the same with the podcast channel as well. Once that gets to 1,000, it would make a big difference. Leon, I was lucky the day I got furloughed from work was Football Manager release day. Wow. As long as you've got it to go back to after, that's the main thing. I've just missed what is apparently a 25-yard blockbuster from McNulty. I'm going to have to watch them back. I'm so busy with the chat and I've not even seen the goals. And I think I've missed the chance to replay that one. So we'll do it after this highlight. So that's worked out nicely. I booked 2 weeks annual leave whenever Football Manager beaters due out. We've let in a goal now. It's 2-1. I did see that one, unfortunately. But yeah, I always book holiday around it just so I can get as much content out as possible. So that's why this year we live streamed almost every day because I was off work. But then it had to stop as soon as I went back, as much as I wanted to continue. So let's have a look at McNulty here. Good first touch. Oh, it's a lovely dink. He loves that little chip finish, doesn't he, McNulty? But good stuff nonetheless. Charlie, is it okay for Arsenal fans to leave the Emirates early? Look, I'm not going to get too involved in this. It really annoyed me. Look now, there's no more Arsenal fans can go to home games now because London's been put in tier 3, as has most of the country. There's one chance to go to watch a game. It might be your only chance for a year. And you leave after 80 minutes. And it's not like you were 5 down. It was 1-0. And there was, albeit with 10 men, still a slim chance of nicking something. So I've got to say, it's the one thing that really, really frustrated me. To get the chance to be one of those few fans when thousands of others want to go, to then walk out early, just really annoyed me. Craig, always going at the Arsenal fans. Most of them were there and very supportive. Druid, a lot of respect for the answer. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But, you know, it's a small part. We all do what we can. And Craig and Charlie, to be fair, on the podcast, they've been key workers and we've kept that going twice a week at least as well. So, you know, hopefully good rewards to those that work hard longer term. Yeah, that's it. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers on the podcast. We're flying up. At the start of lockdown, we had 150 and now we're almost at 750. So it's growing rapidly, which is great as well. And once we get to 1,000 there, that'll be a massive milestone for us. Elgame, you have me as one of them. Very kind indeed. Leon, yes, it was the beta release day. I work in car sales and they drop sales over Christmas anyways. It'll make sense. I'll not be back till February. My missus is sick of the sight of me. That's been one of the biggest things, actually, as we've let in an equaliser that's come out of this. You see it all the time. Obviously, we work at the public every day, and it's just that, oh, she's sick of having me in the house, or, oh, he wants to get rid of me, you know. It's been part of the good on-running joke about it, to be honest. But deep down, I think a lot of people were glad to have a little reset. Obviously, the main thing is just then having the security of a job to go back to, which some unfortunately haven't had. But it's going to be a very different world next year. But hopefully, if all goes well this week with the rollout, we'll start to see a change towards that in the near future. And hopefully in the new year, I can then go to football with a nice little certificate to say I'm covered. But no one knows how long it'll last yet, do they? Here's O'Reilly. We've thrown away a 2-goal lead and we'd love to get back on top here. As Mitchell comes down the left-hand side. Let's stick with this highlight because I feel it could be a good one. Ibsen Rossi heads away. Mitchell in again. McNulty there. And he is an immovable object. He is in the box every time the ball comes in. And he scores pretty much every time as well. Absolutely fantastic. Wasn't Slim Noah hopeless? Yeah, they weren't great. No, but when you're 1-0 down and a team's last 5 minutes, you've got a chance of getting back into it. It's certainly not a state where you should be leaving. Kyle, loving his channel, found it and enjoyed it so much. That's very kind. Thank you for the lovely words. I do appreciate it. And thank you. It's lovely to see a new face pop in. Lovely to have all the regulars in, but I always like finding the odd new one as well. Don't forget, we're live with this series every Tuesday evening at 5:30, every Sunday morning at 10:30. And it looks like it's going to be a good year with Dundee United because you guys voted for it and it's gone very well. As Shankland's in again and we've scored again. Now let's not throw away the 2-goal lead this time. That's the most important thing. But thank you to everyone that supported the channel. The growth since the new game's been ridiculous. We're nearly at 600 new people in 4.5 weeks, which is basically a 50% increase on what I had when the new game came out. So I do appreciate it. I put it on my Instagram page for people done. Very kind of you. Well, we might have a Wrexham special soon if there's a manager change, which you wanted a little while ago, but I don't think there will be. And if you're in League 2 next year, of course, you'll feature in the predictions again. And I'm hoping you'll still come back and win the league, as that's what I predicted. Key workers have more respect. Very kind of you. How would you deal with Xhaka if you were his manager? I don't know. We've scored a fifth. Shankland's got his hat-trick. I think I'd probably say, to be honest, Tom, that one of two things, actually. If you're going to go with a back four, then he's out of chances and he needs to be sold. If you go with a back five, he's a very good addition to your squad, or a very good player in your squad, sorry. But he's too exposed in a back four, and that's when he picks up all these silly bookings. He gets caught ahead of the ball from the sort of counter-attacks. As soon as they play that ball down the full-back channels, which Burnley are masters of. Luton used to be masters of it as well under Mike Newell. As soon as that ball goes in, you've got the wingers who are in behind the midfield four. And Granit Xhaka can't get back there. So the midfield runner goes past him and he inevitably gets a booking. It happens so frequently in a back four for Arsenal. I mean, my advice to Arteta would be stick with a back five because Arsenal aren't good enough defensively to play with a back four. I know he's been switching between the two this year. And I think they'll be fine then. And I'll be honest with you, after the last week, I think he will stick with that now. I'm going to take Mengi off because we've got a 3-goal lead and he's on a booking. Pearson's on for him. And again, the whole midfield four because they haven't got 90 minutes. It's sort of the way we're working at the minute. We've got a first 70 minutes midfield four and then a last 20 midfield four. Leon, the worst thing for me is I follow England away and I've missed a few trips seeing great people from great clubs. Hopefully we'll be back next year. Absolutely. And that's the thing for me. Me and Tom were in the comments there. We're doing the 92. We had 8 plans between March and the end of the season and they were all chopped out straight like that. You know, and we went to Wigan away the last weekend before. And it was one of the worst games of the season, which didn't help when there was then 9 months with a break afterwards. Kilmarnock have got a third here. I'm starting to get a bit concerned because we have not put in a defensive display like this probably since the Rangers match a long time ago. So I'm going to put that down to the fitness, drop to balanced and see if the subs make a difference. Josh Clark down the right, a 6th goal wouldn't go amiss. Into the box and it's straight at the keeper. But yeah, I hope we can go back to football next year, properly at least. It looks like Luton will be tier 3 tomorrow, based on the numbers. But I got one game in and I should be grateful for that. I absolutely loved the Preston game at the weekend. And you don't realise how much you've missed it until you're there. That's all I can say. And also, like when we did the podcast one and I went to MK Dons in the hotel room, just hearing it with no sound and hearing the players, it was so bizarre. It must be... I know that the players are highly paid and whatever, but it must be so weird and hard to motivate yourself. Tom, I hope he never wears a shirt again. If you go to about 5, I think he's your best midfielder still, but with Ceballos, Partey and a couple of the young players, I don't think you've got to rely on him. Shankland's got himself a 6th. It's basically a goal competition between the top 2 now. Craig's telling me it's QPR 0, Stoke 0 at half-time. I can't remember what score we all went for. Let me go and have a quick look. Of course, we're talking podcast predictions here. So, let's have a look at the scores we all went for. We all went for a Stoke win, I think. Let's just wait for the numbers to come up. For some reason, nothing takes longer to load on my computer than picture files. And I'm not technologically brilliant enough to cope with that. That's not a word I should be trying to say live. I tripped myself up at some point. Right, here we go. So, Stoke away at QPR. Craig went for 2-1, Charlie 3-0, and me 1-0 Stoke. So I'm looking the most likely at the moment. That's certainly a positive for me. The booking is one thing. Getting sent off for grabbing a player's throat is another. Do you know what annoyed me, Tom? To be honest, talking about consistency, is can someone explain to me, as we did nick a 7th with Glenn Ray at the end, who seems to be popping up with goals everywhere here. Doesn't do that for Luton, I can assure you. Why didn't El Neni get sent off? Can anyone explain that to me? Because I looked at it and went, I know it's not quite as aggressive, but in terms of the action, it's identical. It was 2 hands on the face. I just couldn't work out why he hadn't been sent off. And no, El Neni seems to be getting off scot-free because Jack has done it before. And then he's a player I like, and I've always said he should have been part of it last year. And I think it was part of the mistake Emery made. But can someone please tell me how he didn't get sent off in that game? He's a liability, never learns, isn't athletic enough anyway. In a midfield four, in a back four, sorry, if that's the way Arteta's going, I agree with you. Well, he was linked with Newcastle, wasn't he, last January? But then he was crucial in that FA Cup. The semi-final, he was one of the men of the match, if I remember rightly. So, you've got to give it there. But yeah, I think he'll be gone. It looks like Inter Milan were linked with him, weren't they? As a swap. There was something about a swap with Eriksen. And if not, Newcastle were interested in the summer. But there you go. Tricks people into thinking he's a leader. The club has declined ever since he came through the door. I don't think you can put the club's decline since he came in. I mean, there's been plenty of other reasons for that. Craig, yeah, sorry, you've listed the results there. Yeah, half-time, 0-0 looks the most likely based on what people have said. Leon, who's your favourite player? Luton player. Doesn't have to be the best technically. I've said this for a long time. I'm normally a player who picks defenders, and, you know, I always grow up a defender and a goalkeeper. But for me, it has to be Collins at the moment. Because, forget the goals. He's the hardest working player I think I've ever seen at Luton in my lifetime. And he's as important to us defensively. Defending set pieces, he reminds me of, you know, Drogba in that Chelsea team, where Mourinho said his most important role is what he does in his own box. James Collins exactly the same. That front post 6-yard box position from corners, set pieces, defends everything. Probably completes more headed clearances than any other player in our squad. And works his backside off. And still scores nearly 1 in 2. It's incredible, really. Druid, I'm a huge Mansfield Town fan. I'm very disappointed with Stetch this year. To be honest, you've perfectly summed up what I thought of him at Luton and what's been his career, basically. He's an exceptionally talented keeper who just dropped some of the most awful clangers. I mean, nearly cost us promotion last year with a clanger in the 95th minute of a home game, which we then drew 2-2. That was when Shea was injured. But, yeah, he does drop clangers for me. He's a very good keeper, though, and he was our keeper for most of the year we went up from League 2. What are you thinking of Nigel Clough so far? Because we did the podcast on him when he took over. Thought he'd be a success. It looks good so far. I mean, every pro we've spoken to, talking about the Mark O'Brien one that came out today, that's played under Nigel Clough, speaks so highly of him. So I think you've got a really good manager on your hands there. Mark O'Brien was just singing his praises. Ben Pringle before as well. I'm trying to think if there were any others. John Shaw, who'd played under him. They all just said, what a man manager. Yeah, Pepe's one at Leeds was worse for me. The discipline is a problem. The Ozil situation, we spoke about this in the Discord earlier. I really worry about the Ozil thing. Is the timing suggests it wasn't an Arteta decision. As soon as he made those political statements, we're not going to go into that. As soon as he made them, he dropped off the face of the earth from the Arsenal team. And there has to have been boardroom influence in that. I promise you, and if not, then I'll start to say Arteta out as well, that Arteta, if given the choice, would have had him in his 25. I honestly believe it's a club decision. But that's just my opinion on it. And yeah, it will be toxic, but that's what I mean with Arteta. You've got to give him time. He's inherited this situation. He's got to wait till the end of the year where some of those deals expire and he can keep regenerating the squad. The same as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's going to take 3-4 years for both of them to regenerate a squad properly. It took Fergie 3.5 years. No one's learnt from that and given someone the time to make it happen. Collins was good against us in League One about 7 years ago for Swindon. Rob Jones and him was a great battle. Not as good as McNulty Mackinfenwa that we had in League 2. That was absolutely incredible. But James Collins, he's become some player under Nathan Jones. You've got to give him that. And there you go. Speak of the devil. In-game linked with a £3.5 million move to Derby. I'm pretty sure, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think Luton would sell him for £3.5 million. I really don't. Because you couldn't replace him. He's the only goal scorer we've got. Discipline was a Wenger problem. Yeah, it's been an Arsenal problem for 7-8 years. Nigel Clough's very good. Good mentality and way of playing. It'll be essential to our success. I found your podcast through the Nigel Clough appointment video too. I was very kind of you. I mean, all I can say is so many pros that have played under him have all said the same thing. I mean, the one that came out this evening is the best example. Mark O'Brien, the chances he gave him, the way he helped him through his heart surgeries and all that sort of stuff. You learn a lot more about the man as well as the man manager. The structure above Arteta is almost non-existent. Yeah. Just Edu. I mean, I'm not going to comment on the rest, but Edu was a good player for Arsenal, let's be fair. I'm not Arteta out. I'm siding with him against all the other rubbish at the club. Yeah. And as we said earlier, the biggest problem is it's a lot easier to replace the manager and cheaper than the whole squad, but it doesn't make it the right thing to do. And the same with United and the same with Arsenal. You can't keep having top managers. I mean, Emery was a top manager. United, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Moyes were all top managers. You can't keep going through them and saying it's the manager's fault. We're going to stick with the same squad here because everyone's fit. 2 more games tonight, so we should be finished before 7 o'clock. And we're up against Callum Lang, one of our heroes from the Wigan save. We got to recall him when we got the takeover. But here, he's up against us and he's playing off the right wing. So let's see how he gets on. Thank you for everyone popping in and being so active in the chat as well. We're just 1 thumbs up away from double figures, so please chuck one on if you haven't already. It does make such a difference. I knew we were going to be a bit shorter tonight because of the early Championship and Premier League game, but it's nice to hang out with a lot of the regulars. And a couple of new faces in as well still. Absolutely brilliant. Tom, sorry I've turned this into an Arsenal discussion. We're all obsessed with them though, aren't we? Well, you know, it's causing debate, and that's the main thing. Craig, was always a risky move bringing in a new head coach into a big club, especially if you don't put the support structure in place. It's always hard bringing in a club legend to manage. It can always turn sour. Exactly. Yeah, I could see Coppinger being a Doncaster manager one day. Has he ever said that he'd like to do it? Because it's got to be the next step. I mean, to be fair, he's still playing like a top League One player at 39. Let's not rule him out yet, but it would be lovely to see. I've got so much respect for him. He's someone actually I'd love to interview on the podcast. It's one of a rare breed in the EFL now. It's 0-0 at half time, and to be honest, against the side who are directly below us in the league, that's not a bad result at all. If we draw 0-0 and keep that gap, I'm happy. But that's easier said than done. Here come Motherwell down the left-hand side. McGinley. It's Wallace. That must be Ross Wallace, who we nearly signed. Bolton clears it long. McNulty's trying to go, but it's cleared away. And Callum Lang's on the front foot. I've got a feeling Motherwell might sneak this. Druid, I've loved watching your podcast videos and championship predictions. You've all got very charismatic ways and approaches, and one of my favourite podcasts without doubt. Oh, you're too kind to us. We're still amateurs in a grand scheme of things. To be honest, the one thing that we do miss from the podcast, I mean, the lockdown had actually been revolutionary for us, doing all of the interviews via Zoom and things like that. But the one thing we miss is every Friday night we used to sit for about 4 hours with a massive bowl of chocolate in Charlie's Lounge and Pro Evolution Soccer 2 on the PS1 and just kick lumps out of each other for 4 hours from a game where you could tackle still. And that's the bit that hopefully in January we'll be able to get back to doing, because everything else has been great and it's given us something to keep focused over lockdowns. But otherwise, that is the one bit I'm missing, to be honest. Paddy, welcome along. Thank you for popping in. Do appreciate it. Coppinger said he wants to leave football. He's gone in to help him with mental health in sports. Got his own company. Oh, fantastic. A lot of people say they want to leave football and they come back just after. I mean, we spoke to Gary McSheffrey last week. He is a Doncaster youth coach now. And he'd said that he was thinking of leaving football and then came back, just sort of fell into the coaching at your club. And because obviously he was there late in his career. And, you know, now has been hooked by the bug again. So it's quite funny when you speak to the pros that a lot of them, what they think they want and what happens is different. And hopefully with Coppinger, he could do the both together. But yeah, absolutely. It's a service that is very much needed this year, particularly with the events that have gone on and what's likely to happen next year with the knock-on effects of it. As O'Reilly's got it edge of the box. Can we get in? I think Sporrell's offside there. We still have the lead though, and that's the main thing. Shankland's nicked a goal. Or McNulty nicked a goal, sorry. And we're going to get some fresh legs on. The usual 70-minute subs. Free Gold, welcome along. Lovely to have another regular in. Thanks for popping on. El Gaming, what was your question this morning? Oh, it's gone out of my head. Let me go back and look. Unless you remember it, you can tell me. But I'm going to go and have a quick look just to catch up with it. Because I thought I had an answer. I do remember. You said, do you rather watch Liverpool or City play at the moment? Druid, I enjoyed your interview with Godfrey Pocker a lot, an ex-Stags player. Yeah, he's an ex-Luton player as well. To be honest, him and Anthony Sarcevic, from the ones that I've done, are probably the two biggest surprises. I mean, the Sarcevic one just went nuts because he was such a charismatic guy. But Godfrey Pocker, I just really liked him. He's the sort of bloke I could see myself like just hanging out at the pub for a drink with, because he was a great laugh. He didn't take himself seriously at all. You can see why he's the captain of his club now. You can see why he's that leader in the dressing room. I was going to bring Josh Clark on, but actually, I'm going to bring on Michael Duffy for his debut on the right wing. I'm going to bring Houghton on in the middle. We'll leave it 5 more before a couple of others again. We're just trying to nurse people through. Against Celtic, I'm going to rest loads. So Mengi will have a rest and we'll bring Pearson back in. And we'll try and do a few of the others too. So at right back, Smith will come in because... Smith will come off, sorry, he's knackered. Clark on. In midfield, Fuchs is tired. He'll be replaced by Ray. And Shankland's had an average game, so let's give him 5 minutes and Nicky Clark can come on. If we hold on for 1-0, great. If we draw 1-1, not bad. And hopefully we'll be all right. He's a great lad, Gary McSheffrey. I hope he has a great career in football management in the future. He deserves the recognition. I completely agree. He was really honest, which I liked. Some of the comments about non-league football, which I did say to him, are you sure you want me to broadcast these? But they were hilarious. But he's a man who knows his football and he really cares about it. So I wish him all the best for the future because he was very kind to us and very honest with us. And, you know, particularly, again, another former Luton player. I mean, talking about all three of those, I'm talking about interviewing former Luton players, which is a dream come true for me, you know. And Tony Thorpe as well, another one of the first that came onto the podcast. So it's been a very unusual year. If you'd asked me at the start, I wouldn't have expected to have interviewed 50 current and former pros. So I can't complain. Carl, I have a few clients as footballers I do mortgages for, and a lot of them just class it as a job and don't want to stay in the game. Yeah, that's the thing, is you can't get another job. But there's probably a real mix, I'd say. I mean, I guess the problem is the ones who would respond to us about coming on the podcast and that largely are the ones who love football. The ones who just treat it as a job aren't going to want to come and talk about it for no money to a little podcast like mine and like Craig's and like Charlie. So I can kind of see that. But they're just good, normal people. That's what a lot of it is missed because of the media coverage. Most of them have just been lovely people. They've given up their time. They take an interest outside. I mean, a good example recently is Charlie did one with Jim Irvine, who's an incredibly successful player in Northern Ireland over the last 15 years. Started in the Forest Youth Academy. And he was setting up other interviews for it. No one even asked him. He set up an interview with the Linfield chairman, which went mad. He set up an interview with a former EFL player, which Charlie's doing this evening. And another teammate that's come on. And all of that, which you just think, why did you need to do that? You didn't have to do any of that for us. And I've got to say, that's the one thing I've got out of this year. The sense of community in the Irish Premiership, Northern Irish football, is something else. Like between clubs, the greater goal of helping the nation's football is so strong. And that I absolutely admire. Yeah, Carl, as you point out, you can't just go to a normal job most of the time, can you? Yeah, Leon, that's exactly what he said. They couldn't afford to keep the under-23. So he was working with the 18s. He then got promoted to the 23s, which they couldn't afford to keep. And then he's gone and worked with the 16s now instead. Max Waters has been scoring for fun for Crawley and he's linked with £1 million move to Watford. I mean, there's always the odd one that slips through the net. But, I mean, we've had that at Luton. But, thankfully, there's normally a lot of big ones as well. But a lot of sides are getting rid of their academies, even like Birmingham and that. It'll be one of the biggest negative impacts of this, is that clubs are treating it the wrong way. Instead of looking at it as we can trim our wage bill next time we do renewals, we can reduce our wage budget long term in the first team. They're getting rid of the youth bit, which isn't the right decision, but it's a quick fix for a lot of them. Let's just get a look through here, get into this last game, because it's probably going to be a sound beating, because we will rest people as well. I did have Nathan Phillips on the shortlist from Liverpool, because he was transfer listed, but he wanted so much money. We'd been looking at Luton, obviously. A few of these were offered to us. Pelly was ambitious, but not to be. But he's out. The reason I had a look at Pelly is because he's out of contract at the end of the season. And he would be a massive signing at this level. We could just end up with Luton's team. I'll be bringing Luton to Dundee United. We can rename the series by the 3rd season. Thank you for all the extra views and the thumbs up as well. It does make such a difference. I do appreciate you coming along. Drew, do you know who Danny Hilton plays for anymore? He's still at Luton. He's just had an injury. So he started when Collins had COVID during the international break, or just after it. He played 3 games in a row. Hit the post against Sheffield Wednesday. Played really well. Yeah, he's still here. He's got a 2-year deal. He's doing well. He's content with being a backup player at Luton now. Oh, speak of the devil. Every time we mention someone, they pop up here. I've just got an alert to say he's been put on the transfer list. I mean, he's a bit too old and slow now, and he's on big money, so he's not someone we can get here at Dundee United's tactic. But I hope he comes up to the SPL, because he'd be a good addition for some clubs. Ravenite, Matt, I lost track of time now, I'm late. Not to worry. As you've rightly said, there's a full replay afterwards, so no need to worry if you've missed a bit. And the amount of people who have gone back and watched the replays is incredible. I really do appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that's been watching the adverts, putting a thumbs up, subscribing, all of those little bits. They just make such a difference to the channel. Now, we're being offered a scout. I quite like the look of this head of youth development at Chorley, because he's got knowledge of India and Zambia. Greg Abbott, that's a name I recognise, former Mansfield director of football. But he's on bigger money. He's assistant at Notts County. Why would he come to be a scout for us? I don't get that. We'll leave that till after the game anyway. Let's get into the last one. One of Craig's former network heroes, Fred Onyedema, has been linked with me. But we're going away to Celtic now. We got 13 points on Motherwell with that win. So I think we're basically guaranteed 3rd this season. It's been a really good season for us. So let's get the opposition instructions on. We're going to make some big changes today. Mitchell's injured anyway. I'm going to give Mengi a rest because he's shattered. We'll bring Pearson back in after injury. We'll swap the right backs. We will swap the whole of the midfield basically. So Duffy right midfield. Garbutt can play his final game on the left before his loan ends. Houghton in the middle alongside Glenn Ray. And then up top, I'll leave the 2 strikers. I don't want to overdo it. Chalmers can go on the bench because Mengi's tired. I probably need another centre-half down there, don't I? Oh, I haven't put a left back in. Roberts is going left back. Robson, sorry. One of the youngsters. So Ryan Edwards will have to go on the bench there. I think we'll leave it at that. I don't need to change the keeper or the front 2. It's just rotating as much as possible. Realistically, Celtic's not where we're getting our results this year. So let's just get players fit and then win the next game at the start of the next one. El Gaming, the podcast sounds fun. It is, to be honest, it's been an absolute blast this year. I've interviewed loads of former and current pros. We've grown massively. We've found our niche. And it's just really enjoyable. And it's been great for us in lockdown, not going to football, to then just hang out for half an hour, 2 or 3 evenings a week and talk about it. It's great fun. I admire Hilton a lot. Very good player. I wanted him at Mansfield. He was a good player. He's a very good player. He's got a bit of a competitive streak in him. He used to get a lot of silly red cards, but otherwise a good player. He's done a lot for the club and we can't complain. So, I'm just going to drop the tactic a bit because I don't want us to get caught out today. So, fullbacks on defend rather than wingbacks. I know the players don't suit it so well. I was tempted to drop Houghton to a defend duty, but I'm not gonna. And the same for Ray as a ball winner, but I'll leave it as it is. What we are going to do though, and Craig will love this, time waste all the time, reduce the tempo, be disciplined, 2 banks of 4. We'll slow the pace down, we'll regroup when we lose it. And we'll drop the line. In fact, we're not going to drop the line of engagement because I still want to try and get in behind on the counter. Because I feel like with our threat, we could do that. But let's see how many we lose by. I'm going to catch up with the chat so I don't have to see it. Ravenite, Dundee, Luton. It's not far off, is it? It's not far off. Hopefully within 2 years, we'll have Dundee United or Luton United or whatever we want to do in between. If you could pick any Luton striker from previous years to partner Collins, who would you go with? Craig, good suggestion. Steve Collins. That's sort of the diamond tactic though, isn't it? With the 4-4-2 with the 2 target men. Yes. I'm trying to think in terms of the way we play now, mobility-wise. Andre Gray at his peak for us would have been a good suggestion. Who else? I'm trying to think. Just can't remember before Hilton and Collins have been so effective for us. Obviously, we were a non-league before that. I'm trying to think back to Championship before. I think Rowan Vine in his prime would be a good candidate. I think he was really good for us. Bjorn Rundstrom, only there for a few games, but was very good when he was there. But he wouldn't suit the tactic. In terms of suiting a tactic, probably either Rowan Vine or... In his prime, I'd be tempted to go for Stuart Douglas. He was hugely hampered by injuries. I think he's physio at AFC Wimbledon now. But I absolutely loved him and he would suit it down to the ground. Carl, you've made a good point. Not going to get a work permit from Gambia. But I think he had UK listed as one of his countries. So we might have been able to get him still. Yeah, Howard and Gray are the obvious choices. But I don't think either of them would suit the tactic there. But Gray possibly more so. Hilton is the guy from your Wrexham save. Yes, he's still at Luton in real life. Yeah, as Craig says, he has lost his way. It's a fair point. Scored in the last minute to win on FIFA. See, the youngsters are still playing FIFA. I can't do it this year. Here's Glenn Ray in the middle, though. We've been absolutely pasted by Celtic, but we're on the attack. And with this front two, we can always score. Glenn Ray to Houghton. To Garbett. Is he going to have a go? It looked like he was for a minute. He still got it somehow. It's very scrappy there. Garbett shoots. Oh, right-footed hits the post. That wasn't far away at all. Back to Josh Clark and it's cleared. And although Celtic have had the better of this game, considering this is largely a backup team, we've not really been bad. They've got Shane Duffy at the back, who's past his prime in terms of speed. And with McNulty and Shankland on the counter, there's always a sniff. But considering we've rotated almost our whole team, yes, we've been outplayed, but it's been a good result so far. And if we nick a draw here, then certainly third's wrapped up, isn't it? Here's Houghton on the left, crosses towards Shankland. Loses out in the air though. Glenn Ray's been really good in there. But then he's a top championship player this season, so we can't argue with it. Switch of place headed away, and this is where Celtic will get on top, I'm afraid. Apologies for the squeaky chair. Oh, Jed and Keaty's just nailed it. Thank you for popping in as well. Chris Martin, that's the partner for the tactic, would suit him. Did very well with Coldplay as well. It was Coldplay either side, to be fair. But yeah, he was. For that one season, he was brilliant. Tom Craddock up front with him as well. They were a great front two. Yeah, Craig's nailed it as well. Very good suggestion. Didn't Waterford strike a great play for you? What about Benson? Yeah, Paul Benson, very underrated player. He led to a lot of Andre Gray's success. We've scored! Jordan Houghton... Oh no, Shankland scored. I've missed the goal again. I did not expect to see a Dundee United goal in this one. But yeah, he was really good for us. Oh, it's a good header. How is our backup team beating Celtic? I mean, they've been dominant and they've got the corner here. Duffy heads it straight at the keeper. But yeah, I really like Paul Benson. Works in the youth team now as well. And is still, I think, playing at Bedford to an extent. Or was prior to the pandemic. Yeah, National League top scorer with 30 goals. Chris Martin, very good as well. Spot on. Mikey Johnston has equalised. The lead did not last long there. Yeah, Benson, you're spot on. He had a bad injury. It's a shame because he was doing really well. And again, another one who got called into the professional game late. So he lasted a bit longer. That is a lovely goal, yeah. Let me catch up. So the chat's so live today, I'm struggling to keep up. We've only got 20 minutes left. Shankland's in again, and then I'll make the changes. Into McNulty. We've gone ahead again. This is ridiculous with a backup team. Duffy's picked up a knock. Ray's struggling a little bit. So we will go and make a couple of changes. I mean, I don't know how this is happening. Let's catch up with the chat very quickly. You meant Watford. Yeah, the Waterford bit confused me. Beatles or Oasis. There's no doubt Beatles are the better band, but we grew up with Oasis, so for my generation it would always be them. But that's just because of the generation I grew up in and who was, you know, they were the main rock and roll band when I grew up. It's also the only gig I've ever been to. He's not a Bedford town anymore, so he's just working for Luton now, is he? He did the iFollow commentary a few weeks back. So I'm going to bring on, Luke Bolton's going to come on. I mean, we're basically bringing on first choice players. Fuchs for Ray. Left wing, Garbett replaced by... Do I want to bring on... I'll bring on Chalmers. Give the youngster a go. At centre half, Reynolds is tired. So no, I'm not doing that one. That one will cost us. Josh Clark replaced by Liam Smith. And Jamie Robson replaced by... Is it going to be Sporrell? Who was my left back normally? Mitchell. Oh, he's injured, isn't he? I'll put Sporrell left back then. 5 changes made. 20 minutes to hang on to what would be a ridiculous win if we hold on. It's Liam Smith with a throw to Bolton. And just to let you know, I'll be watching the big game between Notts County and Stockport tonight. So that'll be the one I'll be commenting on in the Discord. As Ncham brings it away. I had Ncham at Norwich in my off-camera series in FM20. He was absolutely brilliant at Premier League level. As they've got it again here. They've dominated this game, Celtic, but they cannot get the goal. Well done, Liam Smith there. Good composure. And there's only 18 minutes to tick down. El Gaming, should I join the Balloon? Yes, Scottish football is the way forward. 3 goals getting excited. I don't blame you, because this has been ridiculous. Shankland's got it again. Finds Fuchs. Oh, nearly scores a screamer. Apologies to headphone users, but that was almost very exciting. I don't know how we're winning this. I know Celtic have got 2 in hand, but this puts us in a lovely position. If Hamilton weren't our bogey side, we'd be in a title race. Long kick down the right. I think Celtic will get something here. And here's the proof. Griffiths going in. Skins 2 of them. Oh, it's a wonderful effort and an even better save. I tell you what, we nearly went for James Shea, but Siegrist is number 1 for a long time here, I think. What a keeper. If I remember right, he was at Villa as a young keeper. I'm sure I've not got him mixed up with someone. Here's McNulty up to Shankland. Taylor gets it away. I'm so impressed with this performance. We've rested nearly our whole team and held Celtic off for 83 minutes. As Sporrell finds Houghton. Back to Reynolds. Over the top by the skipper. Duffy heads away. That's his bread and butter. Really, you want to go down the channel low. As Rogic gets it wide. Bolton intercepts. Former Luton Loney goes forwards. But we're not finding the through ball now. And that's the worry. It is just relentless pressure. And if you don't have a breather, you don't have a chance. It's going to end in tears. As it might do here with Mikey Johnston up. Back to Taylor. There's got to be a goal here. Frimpong, Griffiths. And somehow we block it away. Backs to the wall, but a stunning performance. Aaron, welcome along. Appreciate it. Don't call me a traitor. Everyone's calling me a traitor now. You guys voted for this. Can't call me a traitor. It is 2-1 to Dundee United. A fantastic win. I don't know how to explain it. All I can do is thank you all for voting for this series, because this has gone far better than I expected, and I am loving Dundee United. Of course, we need a bit of luck to win away at Celtic, as again, all the chairs disappear. But even with the 2 games in hand, we finished this episode 2nd in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic will win their 2, they'll overtake us. But we've wrapped up 3rd in our first season back. It's going to be incredible. What an achievement by the boys. We've got 3 days to play off camera, including the start of the window. And we will be back on Sunday at 10:30am for Aberdeen, St Johnstone, the bogey side Hamilton in both the league and the cup, and in St Mirren as well. But we could have a cup final next time if we get through. What a remarkable stream it's been. A signing even in this one as well. Fantastic stuff. So let me just catch up with the chat before we polish off. Thank you for everyone for the thumbs up as well. Luton look like they're going to have a solid season. Yeah, we look a good team. If you could strengthen anywhere, where do you think it's needed? We need a goal scorer beyond Collins. When he was out, we looked toothless. Perhaps sort of either a winger that can play off him. Depends what tactic he goes with. He keeps rotating it. If not, I would say probably left back, because Norrington Davis will go back at the end of the year. And at fullback, generally, we've never really replaced Jack Stacey and James Justin. Bree is the solution, but he's had a lot of injury problems this year. And Potts is injury prone. Galloway's probably not going to play at this level again. And Norrington Davis is going back from his loan. So I think that's the thing. Very hard-working performance. Yeah, Craig, as you say, Luton are halfway there to the target. We're doing brilliantly at the moment. And I'm just delighted I got to see one live. El Gaming, great stream. Thank you for the kind words. And thank you all for helping make it great by being so involved in the chat. Craig, yeah, you're probably right. Another goal scorer. Last time we beat Celtic was in like 2014 or 15. I've beaten them twice this year. I won the home game as well. And we got battered in that one too. There you go. We won 3-1 in that one as well. So Celtic I seem to be great against, and Hamilton are the bogey side, which doesn't bode well as we've got them in the cup semi. Defo Craig, but there's ambitions to go further, yeah. If we can finish mid-table, fantastic. But we have to stay in the championship for the new stadium, as Craig says. That's the important bit. Jed and Keaty, great stream. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for popping in. Raven, better than me. I led Celtic for most of the game last time. I played and then got the penalty in stop. They got a penalty in stoppage time. It's one of those things. I mean, we all have the odd bad day. Don't beat yourself up. You're still doing well. Mockery is a gem if you play another season. Let me have a quick look at him. It'll be the last thing I do on here, is I'll go and find Mockery. There were a couple of very well rated ones. Fotheringham's had injury problems. Mockery, where is he? Chris Mockery, where's he on loan? Montrose. Oh, he does look good. Yeah, he looks my sort of player as well. We'll try and get him some League Cup games next season at least. It's been nice to be involved in the chat instead of watching it back. Thanks for having me. Hey, the more the merrier. Perfect timing as Donny kick off in 10 minutes. Yeah, a lot of 5:30s and 7 o'clocks this midweek, so I'll make sure we're all polished off for that. I'll be off to watch Notts County v Stockport. I hope you all enjoy your evening. I hope you all enjoy whatever game you're watching. Thank you all for coming along and making it so active. I thought I was going to be down to a few this evening because of the early kickoffs, but you've come in your numbers, so thank you. Please do check out The Head Coach if you haven't seen it today. It is the best episode in a long time. Probably the first episode I've ever had that I'd say is unmissable on the channel. So please do check that out. And I'll see you on Sunday morning at 10:30 AM. Thanks for coming along. I'll see you next time.